Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, the last one for 2022 as we head into Season 13. Now we've had a bit of a wild ride in the first couple of weeks with the jungle companions and the new jungle experience and gold changes. And of course now we have had gold removed from us, but experience given back, as well as a change to the jungle pet companion whereby resistances now grant us amplifiers, as well as the changes and nerfs to Ravenous Hydra over the past few weeks. We have yet another meta shakeup, as we always do at the beginning of the season. My Patreon will have an updated infographic with a clash section, as well as your coaching VODs and coaching signups. And to guide you through Season 13, Mobalytics' brand new companion app is here to help. Much like our redesigned jungle, Mobalytics app has been redesigned to give you all of the best information that you need to thrive before, during, and after game. While Riot did remove scouting, Champ Select has been redesigned to give you all of the information on the champions on your team and on the enemy team so you can know which team is stronger, along with gold leads and insane informational trackers in the overlay. You can keep track of your progress in-game to help you hit the targets you need to win. The power spike notifications in-game will mean you never have to worry about messing up again. Leona 6, Roman gank it. Nocturne 6, don't overpush and dive. And so you know ADCs need this, but you know what? They're not going to use it, which means you can use it and then counter gank and obliterate the enemy jungler. The brand new Mobalytics app has everything you need to improve in Season 13 League of Legends. Click the link in the description below to download and become Ascended. And just before we jump into the actual S tier page, I have a special bonus champion, Ramus. He's basically our Z or Z tier champion this week, and we've never had one on this channel before, but because his win rate is like 55-56%, even if it's early days in the patch, but it seems nerfs to things like Trundle and other sorts of meta champions that use Ravenous Hydra, as well as the nerf to gold income for general carry junglers and the buffs to the resistances for the damage in the jungle companion, along with the buffs to the Sunfire Cape, have left him really thriving in this new season. However, the reason I'm putting him here in a separate section is because we aren't entirely sure if this is just due to those factors, or if there's some sort of bug or something else going around that is inflating the statistics. Nevertheless, keep an eye on the win rate. If it continues to be giga high, he will be hotfixed. But for now, even if this win rate will go back down to more humane levels and earthly levels, he is still very strong. And as we head onto the S tier page, you will see we are starting off with Vidya. And that's obviously because even though they nerfed things that he likes to use, it doesn't matter because the Ravenous Hydra full AD build has been obnoxious for quite a while. I'm actually completely shocked Riot didn't deal with this sooner because we've known about this build for a little bit. I've put it on the gameplay channel, I've mentioned it on the main channel. It is not a new concept, but when he's basically one-shotting tanks, I think that's a bit of an issue. And while he can do that and basically be an assassin, he can also still go the regular tanky builds with Demonics, your Jack Shows, and your, guess what, buffed Sunfires. And because he clears so damn fast anyway, the removal of the bonus HP from the clear speed of the companion, 1%, doesn't affect him when it now converts 10% of your bonus MR and magic resist into damage as well. But of course, a tank who is also a fighter, who is also an assassin, who is also a man-bear pig is, dominating the jungle meta still. Next up, we have Echo because, as I said, he is the 5-camp clearer that is now a full clearer. We don't even want to do the 5-campers anymore. You full clear, you're level 4, you have first strike, you have futures market, you can snowball so damn easily now. And of course, you have the benefit of all 3 jungle pets working beautifully. Nothing that has happened in this patch affects Echo in any sort of way. Yes, there's less gold, yes, there's a little bit less damage in the HP component of the jungle pet, but that doesn't really affect him as he was overkilling camps and overkilling everything already. And so he basically continues to be the absolute best AP jungler, one of the best solo carriers in the game. People just aren't using it as much as they could, but I'm here to tell you, please play this champion more, play it more. And what I wish we'd play less and people would play less and Riot would stop bringing back into the meta is of course one Udyr, but also Hecarim. Now the Ravenous Hydra build path has been affected naturally with those nerfs and those changes, but he had so many other build paths to go. In fact, you still had high elo Hecarim, weirdly though, not going that item. I have been recommending it as best in slot for rush itemization as most have. You can obviously have your Jack Show tanking, you can have your Sunfire gaming, you can have your Divine Sundra if you wanted to still do that, Trinity Force, Duskblade of Drakthar. A lot of his win rate suffers because you keep going Gus Walker hatchling the blue companion. Please just go Moss Stomper, it's a better time. Yes, it was nerfed, but that's basically just because it was too strong in general. It's overall the best item for him. You do not need more movement speed, you have enough. It is now time to thrive and survive. Next up we have Graves, and I just put a gameplay out about him this week, talking about the carry potential and why he is always, for like 4 seasons, destroying everyone. The win rate doesn't represent his power curve, never will, and if it does, then he is completely and utterly disgustingly broken. Fortunately, we're at about a 48-49% win rate, which is fine, which means he doesn't really need to be balanced in terms of being nerfed or buffed. But at the same time, that's a bit of an issue because everyone in high elo knows Graves is so very strong. Can we please nerf him? They do need to change something about his kit, I think, in order to make him a bit more balanceable in that regard. But his kit is simply straight up overloaded, and the fact that he can abuse so many different itemization paths as well in terms of becoming this ranged fighter or this long-range assassin, plus something with that smoke screen, it's not very healthy for the game when he's giga broken in high elo, or giga broken in general, but only has a 48-49% win rate. Obviously, he's one of those champions, but he can make the jungle feel so damn boring when he's in the pro meta or high elo meta, and I think Riot do need to look at his kit in the future. But for now, if you're looking for solo queue carry, he is one of the best. Next up we have Kindred, and I talked about this in my gameplay video of them as well. But please, just go Moss Stomper. Have fun, go Moss Stomper. Can you go Scorched Claw if you wanted to, the red pet? You could, but why? The Moss Stomper is what we need here. It gives you survivability, it lets you go in, it lets you tank a lot more damage. You do not need more damage, you do not need more slows. You are already a hyper carry that sticks to champions, that slows them, that basically pseudo-executes them, and saves yourself and your team from certain death. A little bit ironic, but still the champion was fine, and Riot said, hey, let's give you 10% increase on your Q attack speed buff. How about that? Well, there you go. S tier jungler. Next up we have Evelynn, one of the under-the-radar hidden OP S-tier jungle champions. And you might say, well, Virkayu, how is that hidden OP if they're in this tier list? Well, because people still don't play her. People are still not thinking about playing Evelynn, because of course there's a disconnect between all the champions we have here and their objective power, their tower power, their ability to kind of map control. Evelynn does have that, but it's through different mechanisms that camouflage and positioning that assassination potential. Evelynn with the Scorched Claw is insanely potent, insanely strong, and when used correctly with her positioning, and of course you're clearing map tempo, getting those treats from 40 to 20, 20 to 0, the gold income does hurt assassins specifically. But remember, we were having too much gold, so now we have experience. And when you've used something where you have too much of the gold and not enough experience, you bring down the gold, which is still enough for itemization spikes, but bring the experience up so that you're getting ultimate spikes up sooner. Yeah, you kind of cancel that out and you're still very, very strong. Play Evelynn, she is powerful. Well, when you make a ranged champion melee and they use Conqueror and Demonic's Embrace and Jack Show, it becomes a bit of an issue. So Riot decided, hey, we need to nerf you just a little bit. And the best way to nerf those kinds of builds is always base damage. Keep the ratios present, but nerf the base damages. As such, that will affect her just a little bit in terms of your Jack Show, Demonic's Embrace, nonsense builds that were really kind of obnoxious, but don't let that fool you. It is still a very strong build. It will still allow you to carry games while being unkillable and uncatchable. Actually, I don't really know where I'm going with this because she's still strong as hell and you can still go that build. That is the build to go. The Leandra's build isn't actually looking that great at the moment, to be honest with you, so carry on, dear folk. And finally, we have Sylas. Now, I think Sylas personally should be at the top of this list here. He belongs with your Echoes, but his win rate does not match the play rate pressure, and that's because most people don't know how to play the champion. They don't know how to actually optimize the jungle clears and pathings for success. Sylas is not like Echo where he can full clear. All of the champions here can do some sort of full clear. And now you have the Sylas who really shouldn't be doing that. You need someone who's doing the flexi clear, some sort of 5-camp peak, looking for gank control, invades, cheese, level 2. You want quadra clears into gankings. I made a video on all the jungle routes you can go, and Sylas is included in that video. In fact, I will link it below if you want to play Sylas, but people are not executing it properly, which means when you face a Sylas, he's not going to be as strong as he should and could be. But when he gets Night Harvester, if you watch my how to gank or farm video that I put out last week, you see that that's all you really need, and people are just dying. The champion is doing too much damage, way too much damage with that Night Harvester Shadow Flame Zonya's build. You know, throwing a death cap, and it's a little bit unnatural, to be honest with you. Definitely something we'll need to give at some point once people figure it out, but for the time being, this is an S tier jungle. And now we shift onto the A tier page for some sprinkles of love and joy in the form of Master Yi. Do I think he is really an A tier jungler or an S tier jungler? I think he's an S tier jungler. But when you have things like buff tanks and you have things like Rammus running around, and you know that Elise is pretty strong actually in terms of win rates, I'll talk about that in her section. You know, we have the Udyr, we have Mordekaiser running around, we've got champions that you can feel comfortable using against Master Yi. That will come down to your own personal preferences and your playstyle and what you actually use, but I do feel like while he is still very, very strong and obnoxious, there are methods we can have to at least kind of curb some of that frustration and break his little twig bones. Next up, we have Fiddlesticks and double camping. No, it hasn't actually returned. It's most likely a bug. It's most likely going to be muted, much like all the other double camping. The champion, however, is still fine. The win rates are still good. Yeah, you lose a little bit of clear optimization, but you still suck faster. You're still getting more experience now than you did before, and you're still Fiddlesticks beyond a certain point. Stop overthinking it. Refine your clear like everybody else has to, and just get on with your business because the champion is still absolutely a great jungler for this game and for this season. Always will be, always has been, always will have been. Next up, we are going to talk about the Mordekaiser, because even though they decided, hey, we're going to nerf their passive, Then Mordecai's a jungle enthusiast in my Discord said, yeah, I don't really care that much and it's gonna be fine. And guess what the win rate data shows? Yeah, it's fine, which means you should always go speak to those one tricks and those mains who know their champions. And I don't mean any offense, but if you have 1,000,000 points and you're silver on a champion, you probably don't know it that well because, you know, most of the time if you've got 1,000,000 points on a champion, you're climbing. But in this case, he's not really been a quote-unquote jungler, but I've been saying for about, what, in 18 months, 2 years almost, guys, play Mordekaiser in the jungle, and when right buffed the bonus damage to monsters, which now only applies to large monsters, it doesn't matter. It just became this hidden OP thing you could use. You can hit the Mobalytics link for some of that information, but with more experience in the jungle, with some of those bonus resistances applying to the jungle pet damage, which Mordekaiser can throw into his builds and usually does, it's kind of a perfect storm for him to full clear and then yeet people into another dimension, or to Brazil. Next up we have Zac, and of course Zac was struggling, but he wasn't struggling in the way Riot were making it out. I mean, the guy still had way too much damage, so much CC, and he just went Heartsteel and kind of dealt with it. But again, even though there's less gold, the jungle experience boost is great, the jungle companion change is great, and obviously the most important change for him, Sunfire, yes, 500 juicy APs to go with his nice demonics embrace. And hey, guess what? Let's give him more damage. I don't know why he needed more damage, but he got more damage. I don't know why. He's a tank. But hey, it is what it is, and he's back on the list. Next up we have Elise, and I was hesitant to put her on here because she's been kind of solid for a while actually, and it was just a case of, look, the champion just doesn't suit the meta. We need to be able to full clear and rinse camps. And yes, early flexi clears are kind of the thing, and even now you could still do that. And even though win rate data was good, it just didn't feel like she was one of the better junglers in the meta. Turns out, yeah, she is in terms of win rate, and she likes Gus Walker Hatchling, and she loves the new items, and she likes being able to clear the jungle faster than ever. She likes more experience to maintain her relevancy, and her win rate data is just currently that good. So, early ganks, early invades, early dives, become an assassin, annihilate everybody, do what Elise does, using repel to dodge tower aggro, go electrocute, go dark harvest, go PTA, build night harvester, do what you want to do. People will die and you will carry. Next up we have Vine. Yeah, she was a little bit higher on the previous edition as the new season came about, with the changes to the Moss Stomp and obviously the nerfs to Ravenous Hydra, and obviously the buffs and changes to everything around her. She is still very good, she's still great, but you could put a lot of champions in that category, good and great. Bottom of the A-tier page, there's a lot of messing around here in terms of the win rate data, the play rates, and which champions I feel personally are quite strong. In the end, I've got to pick a champion that not only delivers the meta fantasy of the win condition necessities, but also gives you something that I feel you can use to solo carry. And with her copious amounts of CC, her ability to farm faster than ever thanks to the jungle pet, and straight up dominating dragon control with her point and click ultimate in teamfights, this is a great total package for the season. However, Kha'Zix, same kind of thing. Assassin, loss of the Ravenous Hydra definitely does hurt. The Omnivamp isn't really the issue here, but the cost increase, the less stacking on the AD, all of it's still great. You're still gonna go, you're still gonna rush it. My life companion guides still have it as a de facto build, but with the more tanky boys showing up, assassins don't always do as well, because their job is designed to peel, disengage, and make sure assassins can't kill people. So if you're doing that job, the Kha'Zix is gonna have a rough time, but overall, still one of the best carry junglers in the game. And finally, we have the Monkey, and even though he loved the Omnivamp more than probably anyone on this list so far, he's just happy that now he can go resistances again, clear fast, get more experience to maintain early game dominance, and he has an item he can rush that allows him to clear even faster in the Tiamat and still the Ravenous Hydra. The lack of scaling on the Omnivamp affects his total power curve, but it doesn't take away his overall newfound presence in the Season 13 meta. And on that note, we will jump to the low elo page, where I still think, even if it is just an outlier and it will stabilize, Rammus is the best because he counters Master Yi. And if you simply ban Rammus, then you can go Master Yi, and now he's the best again. How great is that? Next up, Mordekaiser, you got the Warwick, the Udyr, a Mumu, Sunfire buffs, bless you right, thank you. And they gave him some direct buffs as well, so he is definitely feeling much like his old self. A low elo jungler and a high elo just, I don't know, a support or something. Lilia is still giga strong here, and the Mundo, my good doctor, as everyone knows, I mostly spammed this champion last year. I like the hidden gems that we can find in the jungle that are strong and fun. And finally, the high elo page. It says Graves and Kindred. I hope you're not surprised. All of the champions here have super high presence in terms of ban rate, pick rates, and most of them have really dominating win rates. The Lee Sin is something, again, that is struggling for the general population, but in high elo, absolutely thriving in terms of a skill issue pick. Win rate isn't always the best, but if you're a good Lee Sin, you can execute it no problem. The interesting pick here is obviously going to be the Silas and the Zed, but the Zed I put in the last tier list because his full clear is absolutely insane. Sub 3 minutes, 258, even less if you're optimized. Really beautiful in terms of the speed, but most people have no idea how to use him properly from the jungle position. He's a little bit easy in the mid lane, the jungle a little bit more difficult to get fed. You have to path correctly and know your matchups. So naturally in high elo the win rate is great. Silas on the other hand maintains his popularity in high elo just with a better win rate because people understand the champion and aggressive jungling a little bit better. Well, a lot better. And yes, you could go things like Nidalee and so on, and they do work. There's other champions that do work, but these are the ones with some of the highest and best presence in the high elo ranges. And there you go, the final best junglers of 2022. Don't forget to like, share, and comment if you did enjoy and learn something. Join me on Patreon for your coaching VODs and coaching signups. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.